When those in XRP community talk about XRP going high in terms of price, this is one of the key stuff. Utility. Whether you're talking about a $10 XRP or a $100 XRP, it's all based on the utility. Now, yes, as we generally know, there are a lot of discussion happening inside the economy, inside the crypto market, and markets never like uncertainty. You do get that. But right now, what we are looking at is the possibility of XRP running on the Swift rails. Now, if you remember, there has been some stuff happening. If we go back a little bit, earlier this year, you can actually see stuff like this. And it kind of give you an idea like, okay, that's something important. Because as you go through, there are competitors in the payments industry coming out and putting this one on the, public media on a stage like this. So when they actually give you this idea at World Economic Forum meeting, I'm like, okay, a lot of people are listening to that, right? So they do have to progress faster and prove they are still relevant. And for that, they may definitely need to partner with someone who has the reach and the technology on hand. And that's where I believe like this is coming in. So when you actually look at the patents and see what the talk is about, it's about the settlement layer. Now, if you already know, Swift is a messaging platform, that too, one-way messaging platform. Fine. You don't do the settlement. The settlements are happening outside of that. And that is the advantage of using this partnership. Now, if you are inside the market, and especially for XRP, you're looking at this, right? And it gives you certain perspective. So let's actually discuss through that. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. There are stuffs happening like this, and it's coming to us. Wherever you are, whichever country you are, this is slowly coming to you, or it's already there, right? So that's one of the reasons why we say you need to be focused on your investments. You need to know on what you are investing. So going back into this matter, if you actually look at these, it kind of gives you the advantage of understanding what really is happening. Right now, this is not the recent one. This is actually to give you an idea of what's happening. Alongside Ripple, BMW, Bosch, Blockchain Acceleration Foundation, that's BAF, Consensus, Crypto Valley, Constellation, all of these guys are a part of this. So Enterprise, Ethereum, Alliance, Fall, and others are here. So it is a big stuff which they are working with. So they do have the networks to convey whether something is working or not. Fine. Now, when we actually go back to this one, you do understand that the payments is actually a big stuff, and big tech is already trying to get a piece of it. And in the World Economic Forum, you actually saw how people are talking about the cross-border payments and its potential in the CBDC era, right? And that's where, Swift, an institution with around 11,000 financial institutions already on it, trying to stay relevant, because there are partners who actually say, okay, they may not even exist in 5 years if they don't adopt the technology. Right? If they don't recreate themselves, they may not stay relevant. And that's where, they are trying to partner with Capgemini and test how multiple CBDCs can actually work. Now, if you want to move CBDC from dollar to yen, yuan, wherever, you are not only doing it based on the traditional messaging platform. Now, you can use the network if you put on new rails on this, but it's just not messaging. Here, the messaging and the settlement happens together. And that's where when you actually come back to King Solomon Street here, it actually gives you that understanding. right? Settlement process can be enabled through a Ripple framework, thereby to facilitate substantial real-time settlement across multiple institutions and multiple banks. So it kind of gives you that understanding. It's not for the messaging they're using Ripple. Most likely, it's just for this. And why this is also important, because when they talk about clearing, payer's bank may be a Nostro account which is debited subject to a bank institution rules. I'm like, okay, that's gonna go away, because when you're using an asset, digital asset, you don't actually need Nostro stuff. You're doing the payment in real time. You don't have to pre-fund the account. So when you come into these and understand like, okay, there is a lot happening, patents are not approved in a single day. It takes time. You go through that academic area and you understand how much research it actually takes to go through and process this. Fine. Now, when you actually jump on to what Mikey B. Fresh is actually highlighting, there's another key idea here, right? The XRP Ledger accounts are up. 4th round grants in less than 2 years. So when you're looking at stuff, there are people who actually will put a lot of effort into the market. But when you understand like, okay, Ripple only controls like 6 to 7% of the total supply, it actually gives you a big narrative of a lot of FUD coming in. But yes, this is one of the area which we all have to look at, because if you don't get the proper regulation, the institutional money, which is the biggest part of money, is going to be slow. They may not enter heavily. They may enter through different arena, through different countries, not through US. So when we talk about big money coming into crypto, one of the key part which we have to pay attention to is US regulations. Now, if you have smaller countries, now you also understand like, okay, there is a perspective like this. And this week, Bank of Canada is actually going to go up for another rate hike. So can it be 100 basis point? Can it be 75? Can it be 50? The talk is really about a 75 basis points hike. And if you look at that, people are already having a hard time with their mortgage and everything. And if they are going to do another 75, like, 100 was already done. And now a 75 means that's going to be painful for the economy. But looking at the inflation rate slowing down a bit, I'm like, okay, do they really need to tackle with 75 or can they go with 50? Because if the market has already priced in 75, now if they do 50, it's going to be bullish for the entire market. But again, that is just going to be a signal, like one of the major central banks slowing down. Then we can actually get an idea like, okay, then maybe Fed is not going to do another 75. Maybe they are going to go settle in for a 50 or something lower than that, which again is coming in this month, and that can be another bullish signal. Right now, we are not breaking through 24. We are still at 20. We are, flirting with that particular level. And we can see like, okay, certain coins are actually slowly trying to move back up, but they are breaking higher. Right now, if you are looking at this, I would, okay, say with the volume level, I would actually go look at like, okay, Atom. So if you are going into a real-time chart, say Cosmos or Atom, you really want to actually look at like, okay, what really is happening there. Fine. So you go in on a daily chart and you're looking like, okay, what am I looking at? Now, we have been in this asset before the initial breakout. Our average is comparatively lower than what the price is now because we went in earlier. Now, if we look at what the market is doing right now, you can actually ask like, okay, what am I really looking at? You can go in, you can zoom in, look at like, okay, is this pattern relevant or not? Because when you actually try to put the perspective in, you are getting this narrative. You tried to break higher, you stayed there, respected that level, and then what happened? The price is breaking higher. So if you are looking at the market and say like, okay, yes, my XRP is not moving, or at least XRP is not there in the top 10 movers of the day. Now we go look at like last 7 days and still you don't see XRP there. One of the major reason there is this: we don't have that proper clarity. So institutional investors may not enter even though we have this kind of utility. But the difference is you don't actually see this asset failing. You go here, you see XRP staying in top 10 with all this uncertainty is being pushed towards it, right? You actually look like, okay, yes, the volume went down. We all agree on that point, but we are still in top 10. And if you put the right perspective, you remove these stable coins like Tether, USDC coin, then the Binance USD. Now you're removing 3 of them and you reach top 5. That is something significant which you have to look at. And if you're going to look at another major, say, big cap coin, Cardano is another one. So if you are in this market, what you are looking at right now is something like this, where you're saying, okay, these big cap coins are actually slowly moving. They're breaking out. What really is happening? Don't be surprised. We've talked about this. Now, one of the key stuff with this chart, which I really want to highlight today, is like, okay, when you go on a daily chart or 3-day chart, you notice that, okay, the RSI is reaching the overbought territory. And historically speaking, whenever it actually enters that range, zoom out and see how high the dominance actually went, because you're not actually looking at the peak right now. You haven't even entered there on the weekly. You are somewhere here, right? You zoom out, look at where we are right now. You broke higher. You're trying to go into this range. You haven't even reached there. You're just breaking higher from here. Now, if you are reaching to this level, as it indicates on a daily, you are already in that. Then you go on a 3-day chart, you're entering there. So that definitely means when the next weekly candle opens, and if we get volume to this side of the market, which is the altcoins, you're actually going to see something like this following up. Now, can it be the same time? No one knows. Can it be earlier? No one knows, right? But one thing is actually for sure, that the market is moving. Whether it's the right coin which you have is moving, or another coin which is unrelated to this one which is moving, still one thing which you can see is that the market is moving on the price of assets. Because the other thing which I would highlight here, look at these stable coins. They're all dropping. So one of my question here is like, okay, you see coins are dropping, fine. So I would actually take you guys directly to chain analysis. And once you analyze here in this platform, now one of the next step you can do is like, yeah, we talked about Bitcoin before. What we're going to do today is for Tether. So when you are looking at Tether in terms of, the trading scenario, what I would actually look at is like, okay, USDT inflows to the exchanges have gone down. USDT held on exchanges have gone down. So my perspective is like, okay, it actually shows you it's moving. Definitely, right? It's actually moving up. So it's actually moving into different assets. Once you are in a stable coin, what are you trying to look at? To buy into different assets. Great. Now we go look at the demand side of it. You are like, okay, to fiat exchange, it's 84% down. So you can't put that argument saying, these stable coins, people are taking the money out completely. I wouldn't go for that argument, right? I would say like, okay, when I compare the total volume here, one is 18 million, which is going to the fiat exchange, and 390 million going into crypto exchange to buy crypto. So you are in stable coin, looking to enter into different assets because you definitely think that the market is going to continue higher. And that's what's happening in the market. People are buying. So if you're already in the market, you already bought these assets and you are just waiting. Now, all you can do is wait. But when you are staying updated on relevant facts on particular assets, especially for us, we'll actually look at XRP. Now, again, the issue with XRP is we will actually have to look at it on a macro perspective. We'll actually talk about it on a macro, but short term, the price fluctuation is slow, massively slow compared to a lot of other coins. But if you look at the indicators here, the MACD is trying to cross back to the upside. That's actually a good sign in my thought process. And then at the bottom, you see like, okay, this is a daily chart. Still on a daily chart, you are making a double bottom here on the RSI where the price is trending low at that particular region. So that's a bullish divergence. Great, because bullish divergence is pushing the market up. Today itself, when we looked at a lot of different coins in the members group, where we were discussing like, okay, why is this coin going up? What signal did the market give us before it happened? One of the common signal for most of the assets which end up is the bullish divergence. Now, not on a daily, you got that on a 3-day and weekly. But again, the signal goes clear because when you zoom out, you'll see this. This is a bullish divergence in XRP, which we talked about previously when we had this. Usually it signals like, okay, that's your bottom. So now when you go zoom out on a 3-day chart and see like, okay, I had this here and this one happening here, most likely I think the trend is going to continue. So you try to plot that on the RSI and you see like, okay, the momentum is building, you're moving up. Then you want to know, it's like, okay, if I connect the resistance, what am I doing? So for me, this is actually a good sign in XRP if I'm looking at it. I don't know how you conceive this or perceive this, but for me, I would say like, okay, this has been a level of resistance which got extended all the way from April, May last year, 2021. We broke that one in July. We came back trying to retest, but as of now, we are still above that bouncing. And on a short term, which is on a daily here, you're getting the bounce with a bullish divergence. So now, yes, you do have to move above the 20-day moving average, and the attention will actually go to Bitcoin because, you know, institutional money and biggest exchanges, volume from Bitcoin to altcoins does actually matter. So when you are inside this, yes, you are still looking at the same macro pattern. It did not change much. You are still there. But one of the relevant facts which you have to keep in mind is what if the MACD bounces here? It's showing you a possibility it may cross to the downside. But historically speaking, we have seen this many times over and over again where it bounces instead of crossing to the downside, right? If you go on a daily, if you go on a weekly, you can see the same happening on different time frames where it actually suggests to you at first, now I'm going to cross to the downside. But what happens? It bounces back. It does not cross to the downside and go to the downside. It bounces there. So that coming in for Bitcoin and the Bitcoin dominance breaking, where, you know, it's like the Bitcoin dominance is going down and the altcoin market is to go up. So after a long period of waiting, now we are in 38% range. Now, yes, we had a couple of times where we wicked this low. So we can't actually completely say this is going to be a breakout. But when we actually see a weekly candle close here at the bottom, which is a new level, and the RSI is breaking lower, the MACD is crossing to the downside, I would actually align more with like, okay, there is something like this starting. Now, you can be conservative and say this is this one, or you can be optimistic and say, okay, I'm thinking about this kind of fluctuation. Fine. Whatever you're talking about, that's going to be a big run. Now, when we talk about big run, you know, and a lot of people were waiting for so long, they would feel like, nah, this is not going to happen anytime soon. Fine. If you're prepared for next 2 years, if you're prepared for next 1 year, you're already prepared. So if it's happening in next 3 months, 5 months, you should be happy, right? But those who are prepared for next 5, 6 months and this coming in, they have better chance of taking profits because they are already looking at this time frame to take their money out. So once you go back and understand the utility is this, the limitation is this, and what you are looking at is uncertainty in the market, that means you're going to talk about the stock market, right? Stock markets in general don't like uncertainty, and that happening at a time when you see like the dollar is still grinding higher in terms of slow. Now it is slow. You can see the momentum slowing down here, the RSI slowing down here. You have a lot of different indicators that it may correct back down. We discussed that in our previous videos where we are looking for that to go and come back. So when that does happen in the market, What we are going to look at is going to be an epic bull run, but just talking about it doesn't give much of a crazy euphoric action until you actually see that. So until then, we'll keep in touch. We'll have patience and we'll stay updated. So guys, if you received value for your time, please do hit that like and subscribe button as usual. And if you haven't done that yet, I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.